Dear aspirants, previous lecture we had discussed some of the fundamental concept about molecular cloning as well as sequencing. Then we had seen construction of genomic and cDNA library, and briefly I will give you quick overview about molecular marker, which is also one of the important techniques so far methods of modern biology is concerned. Molecular markers are the distinctive features present in the genome, and therefore it can be used for a study of phylogenetic analysis as well as mapping of genome. Even a specific DNA sequence or genes can be identified in eukaryotes through variety of molecular marker, and there are specific traits or features which is revealed by all markers. That markers should be highly polymorphic, markers should be codominant, means heterozygosity as well as homozygosity can be as certain. Markers should be throughout available in the genome, so analysis can be easier. Markers should not be affected by any environmental factors, and variety of molecular markers present in the laboratories that can be classified into PCR based marker or hybridization based marker. So far hybridization based marker is concerned, RFLP is most suitable. It can be used for even DNA fingerprinting as well as several another process. And PCR based markers are RAPD, random amplified polymorphic DNA, as well as AFLP, amplified fragment length polymorphism. Then SSR, simple sequence repeat. These are the PCR based marker, and few will be merge of hybridization as well as PCR based. So I will give you quick overview about some of the markers that can be used for analysis of genomes. RFLP, restriction fragment length polymorphisms. Restriction site are heritable. It can be transferred from generation to generation, and variation occurs throughout the genome. So if any point mutation will be occurs, this can either create restriction site or destroy the restriction site. And because of that, if we will cut similar DNA fragments with same relevant restriction enzyme, different fragment will be generated. Different fragments will be generated. Polymorphism can be generated, and therefore we will have sequence information. So this can be used for phylogenetic analysis as well as mapping of genome, called RFLP. RAPD and SSR, these are the PCR based markers. RAPD, random amplified polymorphic DNA, is dominant marker but not reproducible, therefore it is not broadly used. But SSR, simple sequence repeat, or SNP is short tandem repeats. These are the markers which are highly used in laboratory because these are reproducible and giving correct sequence information of all eukaryotes. And therefore in the case of plant genome analysis, majority of QTL, quantitative traits loci, can be identified and mapped through SSR markers. So these all are important aspects about molecular markers. And as I said there are variety of molecular marker based on repeat sequence. Some of the sequences can be repeated in the genome, like mini satellite. 11 to 60 base pair repeat sequences are present in telomeric regions, and some of the genes may be linked with that. So that is called mini satellite. These are the transmitted from generation to generation in codominant fashions, Mendelian inheritance. Micro satellite, 1 to 6 base pair continuous repeat sequences like T, AT, ATG, ATC, like that, wrapped and inter-SSR marker. Nucleotide sequence markers, as I said RFLP, and this is also called hybridization marker. It can be used for mapping of genome at large scale. So far application of marker is concerned, it has lot of application. It can be used for germplasm characterization. It can be used for analysis of variety of genetic disorders like sickle cell anemia. Normal person and sickle cell can be easily identified at early stage with the help of PCR RFLP markers. Then these markers characterization of transformants, a study of genome analysis, organization and phylogenetic analysis, paternity testing in the case of DNA fingerprinting. What happen in paternity testing? If there will be any blames, if there will be any suspect between the biological fathers and real fathers, then as I said mini satellite sequences are transmitted from generation to generation from both the parents. So if any such type of claim will be there, then DNA can be isolated from fetus and parents, and it can be matched through RFLP analysis. Means DNA can be isolated, restriction digestion can be made, electrophoresis can be carried out, it can be transferred onto suitable host-like membrane, and then suitable probes, mini satellite probes, can be added for hybridization, and it should be matched with biological father as well as mother. So it should be matched, all bands should be matched with parents, and then this can be confirmed ki whether person is real biological father or not. That is called disputed paternity test, criminal identification of criminals, murderers, rapists. These all can be possible through marker analysis through RFLP. Another one is measure the genomic response to the selection in livestock in animal biotechnology. This can be used. So now I am going to discuss questions based on these topics which I had discussed very briefly, because within couple of hours it is not possible to discuss entire aspects of all these things, but I had already discussed about fundamental concept. I've now come to the questions, model question, which has been already asked in NET examination, which has been conducted in previous year or few years back. Now we can see the first question. Which of the following are the characteristics of type 1 restriction endonuclease? As I said you, restriction enzymes are very important so far construction of rDNA is concerned. So please go through it. P. Nature of enzyme, bifunctional enzyme, endonuclease and methylase activity. This is not features of type 2 restriction enzyme. This is feature of type 1. Q. Protein structure, 2 identical subunit. This one looks like. Q is looks right. Protein structure, 2 identical subunits responsible for restriction and modifications. Then another one, restriction requirement ATP and Mg2 plus is not correct. So far type 2 restriction enzyme is concerned, it only requires Mg2 plus as a cofactors. And the last one is cleavage site at or near the restriction site. Yes, type 2 restriction enzyme always recognize cleavage site and it can cut the DNA at or near the restriction site. So if we will see the options, then Q and S is right. Q means protein structure, it has 2 identical subunits, and cleavage site at or near the restriction site is right. So option A is correct. Option A, this one, Q and S is right. Next question. The restriction endonuclease from 2 different organisms that recognize the same DNA sequence for cleavage are called. Now we can see this in Teletop. One is palindromic DNA. Palindromic, option is palindromic sequence. Palindromic sequence are those sequence which can read forward and backward in similar fashion, like and all type 2 restriction enzyme recognize palindromic sequences. Like say example EcoR1. If we feel EcoR1 is a restriction enzyme, and if we will see its sequence 5 prime GAATTC, another one AATTC. So here what happens, GAA and here GA. So these type of sequences are called palindromic sequences, and palindromic sequences is recognized by all restriction enzyme. So here question is from 2 different organisms that recognize the same DNA sequence for cleavage are called not palindrome sequence. So A is not right. Another one is called isosizomers. Means the restriction enzyme isolated from 2 different bacteria but recognize the same target site. For example, if we will see Hind, H-I-N-D, Hind third restriction enzyme isolated from Haemophilus influenza and HSU, Haemophilus aegypticus. These 2 bacteria are different but it recognizes the same target site. So this particular site is called isosizomers. Isoneomers means the restriction enzyme isolated from 2 different sources but recognize same target site but gives cleavage site will be different. For example, if we will see JAMA1 XMA, and ESMA1. So one is sticky and generator, this one, and this one is blunt and generator. So these type of sequences, this type of property is called isoneomers. Another one is called isocaudomers. Here restriction enzyme recognize the same target site, but their generation of terminus sequences will be different. So according to these questions, this isosizomers is correct answer. That recognize the same DNA sequence for cleavage is isosizomers. Restriction endonuclease from two different organisms means two different bacteria that recognize the same DNA sequence for cleavage are called isosizomers. Next question, it's a very important one. Now here we can see on teletop, there is two plasmid. First we can see the questions, then we will see it on teletop. Plasmid A and plasmid B are digested with BAM-H1 and analyzed by agro-gel electrophoresis. If the plasmid A gave 2 DNA fragments and plasmid B gave 3 DNA fragments, then which of the following inferences are correct? P. Plasmid A has 3 sides and is circular. Now see here, if plasmid A is circular and it has 3 sides, so suppose BAM-H1, its target side is GG80CC. So when you will cut it BAM-H1, one is used for linearization of plasmid, and then if it has 2 another mode side, so number of fragments should be 1, 2, 3. So what option says? Plasmid A has 3 sides and is circular is not correct. It has to be generated 2 DNA fragments rather than 3. Second one, plasmid B has 3 sides and is circular. Plasmid B has 3 sides and is circular. This one is right because here 1, 2, 3. 3 fragments will be generated, and therefore it gives, here we can see it gives 3 DNA fragments. So Q looks right. Plasmid B has 3 sides and is circular. Another one R, plasmid A has 2 sides and is linear. If plasmid A has 2 sides and it will be linear, suppose this is linear and it has 2 sides, so number of fragments will be 1, 2, 3, but it gives only 2 DNA fragments. So this one is incorrect. Now last one, plasmid B has 2 sides and is linear. This one is right because 1, 2, 3 fragments will be generated if it will be linear. So this option is perfectly right. Q and S. This Q and S is right. Q is plasmid B has 3 sides and is circular according to question. First go through question carefully and then we will see. S, plasmid B has 2 sides and is linear. If it will be linear, then it can be generated 3 DNA fragments. Next one, a restriction enzyme with 4 base recognition site would cleave DNA with a statistical frequency of once every. There is one formula we can see on teletop, 4 to the power n. Now 4 is number of bases. DNA has A, T, G, C 4 bases, and N stand for it's a nature of cut. So if DNA contains equal ratio of adenine, thymine, cytosine and guanine, then this can be represented by 4 to the power n. So 4 base recognition means 4 to the power 4. So this will be 4 into 4 into 4 equal to 256. So this one is perfectly right. If this will be hexacutters, then formula will be 4 to the power 6. So this will be 4 into 4 into 4 into 4 into 4 into 4, and this will be 4096. If we will talk about octacutter, 4 to the power 8, this will be approximately 65.5 kb. So here according to questions, a restriction enzyme with 4 base recognition site would cleave DNA with a statistical frequency of once every 256 base pair. 256 base pair it will be appears. Okay, this one is again a straightforward questions. Polynucleotide ligase joins two DNA molecules together by forming a covalent bond between. As I said you earlier, polynucleotide ligase is an enzyme which can ligate two DNA fragments together. And if you want to join two DNA fragments together, then phosphodiester bond will be only formed between 3' OH and 5' P. If 3' OH and 5' P will be there, then DNA ligase will form covalent bond between these two and fragments can be joined. So according to question, what question says? Polynucleotide ligase joins two DNA molecules together by forming a covalent bond between two H group. Not possible. There will be no covalent bond formation between two OH group. Two phosphate group, no questions. Complementary nucleotide on opposite strand, there is no correlation of ligation between complementary nucleotide on opposite strand. There is correlation between 3' OH and 5' phosphate. So D is the right answer. D is the right answer. 3' OH and 5' phosphate is used for formation of covalent bond between polynucleotide kinase. Next one. T4 polynucleotide kinase is used for, very important questions. Very important questions. T4 polynucleotide kinase is used for, there is a mechanism by which we can label nucleic acid molecules at the end of DNA. 5' ends, there will be phosphate, and it will be possible to remove normal phosphate and transfer radioactive phosphate by alkaline phosphatase. Alkaline phosphatase is enzyme which is responsible for dephosphorylation. Means we can transfer phosphate group at 5' end with the help of alkaline phosphatase. And similarly, we can remove the phosphate group by alkaline phosphatase by a process called dephosphorylation. And if we will remove phosphate at 5' of DNA, there will be presence of hydroxyl group. And if we will use polynucleotide kinase, it will be act on ATP, and ATP will be converted into ADP, and one inorganic phosphate will be released. And this inorganic phosphate will be transferred at the respective end by polynucleotide kinase. Process is called rephosphorylation. So polynucleotide kinase is used for rephosphorylation by leveling nucleic acid molecules at the end. And in the case of Maxam Gilbert DNA sequences, or in the case of probe preparation through end leveling, these two enzymes has very important role in dephosphorylation and rephosphorylation. So polynucleotide kinase is mostly used for rephosphorylation, and therefore this one, the transfer of terminal phosphate group from ATP to 5' OH group is correct. Removal of 5' phosphate is done by alkaline phosphatase, what we call dephosphorylation. Formation of homopolymer tail by poly A polymerase, there is no correlation between polynucleotide kinase. And Nick translation, if we want to prepare probes through Nick translation, then what happen? A DNA age can create Nick at randomly at DNA, a double strand DNA, and if we will add radio level DNTPs and DNA polymerase 1, then it has exonucleolytic activity. So first it will be bind on the Nick and cut the DNA, and whole new DNA will be synthesized which contains radioactive phosphate. So Nick translation is nothing to do with translation, but it is movement of Nick along with the duplex DNA molecules, and it is one of the most common method used for preparation of radio labeled probe for hybridization analysis. So here polynucleotide kinase do not have any correlation. So answer will be B, transfer of terminal phosphate group from ATP to 5' OH group. This question has been already asked. Now, which of the following activities is most closely associated with alkaline phosphatase? I had already spoken just now. Sometime what happen, if we will cut the vector DNA molecules with suitable restriction enzyme and leave it, automatically phosphodiester bond will be formed, because restriction enzyme can cut phosphodiester bond, and there will be creation of 3' OH at the sugar residue and 5' at the phosphate. And if you will leave it if the effect of restriction enzyme will be minimized, it will be automatically circularized. To prevent that circularization, what happen, if we will add alkaline phosphatase, it will be remove phosphate from 5' end, and therefore vector will be remain linear form. So it will be not circularized, it will be not re-anneal. So most of the cloning process, if we want to remain vector molecules in linearized form after restriction digestion, it's better treat with alkaline phosphatase to remove the phosphate. Then there will be no questions of phosphodiester bond formation, and there will be no circularization or re-annealing of vectors. It will be remain linear. So here answer will be cutting the DNA is restriction enzyme, prevent vector dimerization. Joining cohesive end of DNA fragment, no correlation. Homopolymer telling, no question. So this one is right answer, prevent vector dimerization. The dimer will be not formed. Two vector will be not joined together. Oh, next question is again important. Reverse transcriptase requires the following for the conversion of single strand RNA to double strand DNA. We can see it carefully. Reverse transcriptase, the enzyme which has ability to convert mRNA into cDNA, requires the following for the conversion of single strand RNA to double strand DNA. P and RNA template. Of course, right. All reverse transcriptase requires RNA molecules as a template. A primer, of course, none of the polymerase can work without primer except RNA polymerase. RNA polymerase do not require primer. Otherwise, all primers requires primer. This is key concept. All polymerase requires primer. You will have to note it. So, of course, this requires reverse transcriptase required primer, that is transfer RNA. A DNA template. No, reverse transcriptase never requires DNA template. And all 4 DNTPs. Yes, if we want to synthesize oligonucleotide, if we want to synthesize DNA molecules from DNA or DNA molecules from RNA, there is a need of DNTPs, what we call DATP, DCTP, DGTP and DTTP. So these are called 4 DNTPs. 4 DNTPs molecules are precursor molecules for synthesis of DNA. So if we will see the option, P is right, Q is right, but R is not right. A DNA template is not required by reverse transcriptase and DNTPs is required. So answer will be P, Q and S. R is not included. P, Q, S is right answer of these questions. Next one. Which of the following characteristics is undesirable in cloning vectors? It's a very straightforward questions. And I had already discussed if we select any vector molecules, then vector must satisfy certain criteria. And 3 is called essential criteria. One is it must have multiple cloning site, means it must have unique restriction site for several restriction enzyme. Of course, it has several restriction site, but all will be unique. Another one, vector must have origin of replication so that it can replicate independently in the host. It has its own origin of replication. Therefore, it can be easily replicate independently in the host when transformed. And third one is it must have selectable marker genes so that recombinant and non-recombinant clones can be discriminated. So here you can see undesirable means not required. It is not necessary that should be present. So self-replication, yes, ORIC is required. High copy number, of course, if high copy number will be there, the probability of getting the clones will be more. Vulnerable at several sites to a restriction enzyme. This is not right. If it will be vulnerable at several sites, suppose this one is, we can see on teletop, suppose this is PBR 322, and if it is vulnerable for or restriction site everywhere, here, if we will use suppose EcoR1, then what happen? This vector will be fragmented. It can be fragmented, and therefore it is not possible to construct our DNA. So of course multiple cloning site is required. Multiple cloning site is required, but it should not be vulnerable. Everywhere it should not be cut. Multiple cloning sites should be unique for unique restriction enzyme. So answer will be C. A small is size, of course number will be more like PBR 322. PuC8. Oh, this one is again the question related with that. Which of the following elements must be present in cloning vector? Just I had discussed, it must have origin of replication, it must have selectable marker, it must have restriction site. But so far promoter elements upstream of restriction site is concerned, this is not required. If we want to clone a specific genes, this promoter elements upstream of restriction site is never required, because promoter element is required when we want to express a particular genes. There are two type of vector. One is called cloning vector and another is called expression vector. If we will see expression vector, then expression vector requires promoter, ribosome binding site and terminator, but cloning vector do not. So this PQR is right and S is not right. So here answer will be P, origin of replication, selectable marker and unique restriction site. This PRQ is right, S is not right. Okay, this one is important questions. The clinical use of recombinant DNA technology is to have rapidly replicating bacteria produce large amount of a specific protein, hormones, expression of eukaryotic genes in prokaryotes involves. You know, when recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering discovered, we got the idea to clone a specific genes and that can be expressed in prokaryotic host. But for expression, if we want to express eukaryotic gene in prokaryotes, it must satisfy certain criteria, and one criteria is it must have Sine-Dalgarno sequences and it must be fused with prokaryotic promoters. Third, eukaryotic polymerase is not required. Eukaryotic polymerase will be only work in eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic RNA polymerase is three type, 1, 2, 3. One is responsible for expression of ribosomal RNA, 2 is for messenger RNA, 3 for transfer RNA. But so far prokaryote is concerned, only one type of RNA polymerase is needed, and that can transcribe all RNA, rRNA, tRNA or mRNA. Here Sine-Dalgarno sequence in mRNA is needed. Absence of introns. Of course, if introns will be present, then the splicing will not possible in case of eukaryotes. In prokaryotes, splicing is absent. We know that splicing is exclusively features of eukaryotic genomes. Eukaryotes contains introns, and therefore absence of introns is needed. Genes should not have introns. Regulatory elements upstream of a gene, of course. Regulatory elements means there will be promoter, and promoter should be fused with genes, then that genes can be expressed. Presence of eukaryotic RNA polymerase, this is not required. As I tell you, if we want to have expression of any eukaryotic genes in prokaryotes, Sine-Dalgarno sequence in mRNA should be there. Introns should not be there, only coding sequences required. Regulatory elements upstream of genes is needed, means promoter sequences is needed, and that promoter sequences is recognized by single RNA polymerase. Therefore, these three looks correct, but this one is not. Eukaryotic RNA polymerase will not work in prokaryotic system. So, answer will be this D, P, Q and R. This is needed. Oh, once again a good question. Which of the following statements are correct? Very long DNA fragments from eukaryotic genomes can be efficiently packaged in lambda phage vector, can be propagated in east artificial chromosome, must have cohesive ends for cloning, and can be separated by pulse field gel electrophoresis. Let me explain. If we will see the DNA fragments, length of DNA fragments, it is around more than 100 kilobase pair. And if we will see features of vectors, a lot of vectors have been designed, but lambda phage vectors can accommodate DNA up to 30 kilobase pair. So if DNA is more than 100 kilobase pair, obviously this lambda phage vector will not work. So for cloning of these bigger DNA fragments, we prefer east artificial chromosome, where greater than or more than 100 kilo base pair to even 1000 kilo base pair or mega base pair DNA can be cloned. So Q looks right. Then R must have cohesive ends for cloning. This is not true. This is not true. Sometimes blunt and DNA fragments can be also ligated into vector. This is not true. Next one, can be separated by pulse field gel electrophoresis. Okay. So far agarose gel electrophoresis is concerned. Agarose gel electrophoresis is a technique where DNA fragments can be separated on the basis of molecular mass and charge. But length of separation of agarose gel electrophoresis is in vary between 0.5 to 60 kilo base pair. But if DNA fragment will be more than that, means more than 60 kb, then agarose gel electrophoresis will not work. Therefore, pulse field gel electrophoresis can be used. So, this is right answer, Q and S. Here, D. This Q and S is right answer. It can be propagated in its artificial chromosome, number 1. And this can be separated by pulse field gel electrophoresis. Next one. Which of the following are commonly used as a reporter genes? Reporter genes are those genes which are well characterized genetically and biochemically and have a coding region that can be easily fused to the regulatory sequences of another genes. There are two types of reporter genes. One is called selectable reporter genes and another is called scorable reporter genes. These reporter genes can be used for transferring any foreign DNA into the eukaryotic genome. So we can have the idea whether gene has been integrated at a specific location in the genome and it can be expressed. So reporter genes is one of the marker type genes which reveals the integration of foreign DNA into genome. So here, which of the following are commonly used as a reporter gene? NPG, neomycin phosphotransferase gene, is not reporter genes, it's a selectable marker genes. Then luciferase, of course, Lux gene, it can be used for conformation of foreign genes integrated into the eukaryotic genomes. CFTR, this is called cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator genes. This cannot be used as a reporter genes. This is responsible for a disease what we call cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disorder and this can be appears because of several mutation in cystic fibrosis transmembrane regulator genes. Then another one is green fluorescent gene. Green fluorescent protein. This green fluorescent protein produced by green fluorescent genes and it can be used as a reporter genes in the case of transgenic animals as well as transgenic plants both. So this luciferase genes and green fluorescent protein genes, these two are the most commonly used reporter genes used for fusion of specific transgenes and that can be used to identify, discriminate between recombinant means transgenic and non-transgenic. So answer will be Q and S. Where is Q? This one. A is right answer. Q and S. This is right answer. Next one. This one I had talked about this. Why the gene inactivation is useful technique to determine the function of a gene. See the question. Why the gene inactivation is a useful technique to determine the function of gene. Gene inactivation provides information about the expression of genes. No, not at all. If gene will be inactivated, there will be no any correlation of expression. Gene will be inactivated means mRNA will be not formed, no questions of expression. Gene inactivation provides information about the cellular location of gene product. Never. These features will be present on vectors. Therefore, location is not the issues. Gene inactivation provides an opportunity to identify phenotypic change associated with the loss of function of a gene. Of course, what I said in previous lecture, कि when we transfer a specific genes into a specific sequences which are responsible for a specific traits like LAGZ, as I said, LAGZ encodes beta galactosidase. It will be act on substrate and substrate will be converted into product. And substrate of LAGZ is XGAL, 5-bromo-4-chloro-3-indolyl galactoperonoside. It's a color analog of lactose, and this will be because of broken, there will be formation of blue color. But if LAGZ gene will be inactivated, means if we cut LAGZ gene with restriction enzyme and insert a specific genes, then what happen? Genes will be inactivated and no expression. So no expression reveals that particular gene is inserted at this particular site. So option C is right. Gene inactivation provides an opportunity to identify phenotypic change associated with the loss of function of genes. Next one. Okay, very good question. Why were the first genetically engineered human insulin gene is split into separate A and B chain sequences and cloned in separate E. coli strain? Why were the first genetically engineered human insulin? If we will see, we can see the teletop. Insulin is a hormone which regulates blood glucose level in human being, and it has two chains, A and B. A constitutes 30 amino acid and B constitutes 21 amino acid. So total number of amino acid will be 51. And when this will be fused together, then functional insulin will produced. Now, so far, formation of insulin is concerned. Insulin can be expressed in prokaryotes. But if we will use these A and B chain together in one vector, of course, amino acid will be produced. But producing amino acid is not guarantee that hormone will be functional. A special mechanism operated in eukaryotes, what we call protein folding. If protein will be not folded in correct configuration, it will be non-functional. And for protein folding, there is a need of HSP protein, heat shock protein, and that is also called molecular chaperones. These are basically absent in prokaryotes. So if we will clone together this A and B gene together for production of insulin, of course linear structure of amino acid will be produced, but insulin will be non-functional. Therefore, A and B, this one, because E. coli cannot fold the resultant polypeptide with the C chain present. To control the proportion of A and B chain produced is not right. To prevent E. coli strain producing an active insulin, E. coli never produce insulin. It doesn't have genes for that. To prevent loss of insulin by secretion, this is not right. So, because of E. coli cannot fold the resultant polypeptide with C chain present, this A and B chain sequences can be cloned in separate E. coli strain to fold C chain. Okay. One more straightforward questions. Positional cloning refers to using a selectable selection process to clone cDNA is not right. Cloning a portion of gene using PCR, its application of PCR. Isolation of gene using primer from other organisms, no, this is not right. Mapping of a gene to a chromosomal region and identifying and cloning the gene copy of a gene from the region is right answer. Positional cloning give the idea of location of particular genes on genome. So this is a straightforward questions. There is no need of explanation. Which of the following is not a difference between genomic and cDNA library? Again, a straightforward questions. The presence or absence of introns in clone genes. C question. Which of the following is not a difference between genomic and cDNA library? Means genomic as well as cDNA libraries share common information. One is the presence or absence of introns in clone genes. No, this is not common. The presence or absence of promoter in clone genes. This is not common. The presence or absence of prokaryotic origin of replicase on the vector is right. Presence or absence is not make any difference. there should be OREC, and gene can be transferred directly and transform into host. So C is the right answer. The presence or absence of prokaryotic origin of replication on the vector. The presence or absence of DNA in intergenic region has no correlation with genomic and cDNA library. Next one. Oh, what is order of following steps in Western blotting? Western blotting is one of the method used for a study of protein-protein interaction. Means a specific protein, whether a specific protein produced or expressed in particular cell or not. If we want to confirm this, then what we should do? We should isolate protein from the source, separate it through polyacrylamide gel electrophoresis, and transferred onto membrane through electroblotting. And after immobilization of proteins, a anti-IgG colored label, fluorescent label anti-IgG can be given, and then if protein have affinity with that antigen molecules, then antigen antibody antigen interaction will be there, and because of that a specific substrate and conjugate can be added, signals can be generated, and that is the method of Western blotting. So protein denaturation, first one is protein denaturation. We will have to run the proteins, transfer onto the membrane, denatured it, and transfer onto the membrane. First one, protein has to be transferred on membrane, and then protein has to be denatured. Then a primary antibody is given for binding, and then analysis can be made through chromogenic substances like hydrogen peroxide reduction. So answer will be protein denaturation followed by transfer to the membrane, then R primary antibody binding, and then Q means hydrogen peroxide reduction. Protein denaturation, transfer on the membrane, then primary antibody binding means antigen antibody interaction, and then their analysis. So answer is D, P, S, R and Q. Next one. It's a straightforward questions. Northern blotting is different from southern blotting is that. Northern blotting means RNA. RNA can be transferred on membrane. RNA can be transferred and immobilized. So here question we can see northern blotting is different from southern blotting is that. The target is DNA. No, target is RNA. So this one is not correct. The probe should be selected taking introns into consideration. Of course, mRNA doesn't contain any introns, and introns is a non-coding sequences present in DNA. So this has to be considered. So Q is right. Third one, the level is not radioactive. Third one, the level is not radioactive. This is not consideration. No, level is not radioactive. It may be radioactive, like we can prepare riboprobes through in vitro transcription. The target form hairpins. Of course, a messenger RNA sometime form hairpins. So, if we will see process of northern blotting, then these two are right. Q, the probe should be selected taking introns into consideration. This is right. Okay, there should not be any junk DNA, and target form hairpins. Of course, messenger RNA sometime folded and it can form secondary structure. So answer is Q and S. And where is Q and S? D. So D is the right answer. Q and S. This is right one. Next one. Okay, this is one of the important questions so far. Genome sequencing or DNA sequencing is concerned. Which of the following is a problem with chain termination sequences? Means Magnum and Gilbert DNA sequences. The sequences read are less than 100 base pair. Not right. 200 base pair can be read. So this A is wrong. This sequence often contains errors. No, there is no possibility of error in dideoxynucleotide or chain termination reaction. Intra-strand base pairing can block the progress of a strand of the DNA polymerase and may also affect the migration of the molecules during electrophoresis. Yeah, this problem can be encountered when chain termination reaction can be carried out. Then this problem can be encountered. So intra-strand base pairing can block the progress of DNA polymerase and may also affect the migration of the molecules during electrophoresis if sometime happens. It is not possible to sequence both. There is no need to sequence both strand. Once you sequence one strand, complementary strand can be already there. So this C is the right answer. C is the right answer of this question. Next one. Oh, this is next generation sequencing. Okay. Choose the correct sequence of events in the next generation sequencing technology based on whole genome sequencing project. This question is very important so far NET is concerned, asked so many times. So what are essential steps required for construction of genomic library as well as sequencing? These questions is based on that. First one is DNA extraction, then shearing, then library preparation, then sequencing, then assembly, then finishing, then annotation and submission to gene bank. One important step is missing. Here adapter ligation should be there. After DNA extraction, either you can shear or cut it with restriction enzyme, then ligate the adapter, then go for library preparation. So this one is not right. B, DNA extraction and library preparation not possible. First you will have to extract DNA and cut it with restriction enzyme, prepare the library. So two step is missing. Third one, DNA extraction, shearing, adapter ligation, library amplification, sequencing, assembly, finishing, annotation and submission to gene bank. This looks right. This is the steps of next generation of genome sequencing project. Another one, DNA extraction, adapter ligation, library amplification, shearing. No. Shearing can be carried out after DNA extraction. So of course C is the right. DNA extraction, shearing, adapter ligation, library amplification, sequencing, assembly, finishing, annotation and submission to gene bank. Next one. Polymorphism means variation detectable by phenotypic criteria or DNA analysis is. Polymorphism can be only possible if multiple alleles will be present, more than 2 or 3. The occurrence of different alleles in a culture of no, it is not related to bacteria, so A option is wrong. The occurrence of at least 2 different alleles, no, 2 alleles will not reveal any polymorphism because alternative form of genes will be there. Third one, the occurrence of at least 3, this one. The occurrence of at least 3 different alleles in a population of one species is required. The situation in which a gene affects 2 or more unrelated aspects, no, this doesn't related to this question. This one is right. The occurrence of at least 3 different alleles in a population of one species is needed. Next one. Which of the following molecular markers type uses combination of both restriction enzyme and PCR? Very good questions. If we will see, I had already spoken. There are 2 type of marker. One is called hybridization based marker and another is called PCR based marker. And some of the markers can be used for principle of both hybridization as well as PCR. SSR is a PCR based marker. AFLP, in AFLP, amplification fragment length polymorphism. Here what happened? DNA has to be isolated first, then it can be digested with restriction enzyme, and then a specific link adapter molecules. Adapter molecules can be ligated at the ends, and amplification can be done by designing a primer which contains one additional sequences of adapter molecules. So here AFLP is right. SSR is not right. AFLP is right. SNP is single nucleotide polymorphism. He is hybridization based. RAPD is pure PCR based. Next one. Combination of molecular marker with their classification based on their dominant or codominant types are shown below. As I said you earlier, the molecular marker should be codominant. Majority of markers should be codominant. Some of the dominant markers are also available. So if we will see the combination here, SSR and RFLP is of course codominant. SSR is codominant and RFLP is codominant. SSR and RAPD. SSR is codominant but RAPD is dominant, so this is not true. RAPD is dominant and RFLP is codominant, this is not true, both are not dominant. AFLP and RAPD is dominant, this is true. AFLP and RAPD is dominant marker, so answer will be which of the following is correct combination? It's A and D. It's A and D. Combination is A and D. Answer will be A and D. This one. Next one. A student wrote following a statement regarding comparison of RFLP, RAPD, AFLP and SSR technique used for generating molecular markers in plant. All techniques can be used for fingerprinting, right? This is right. Detection of allele variation can be achieved only by RFLP. No, all markers can be used. Use of radioisotope is required in RFLP and RAPD. No, RAPD doesn't require probes. Polymerase chain reaction is required in all the technique. So which of the following combination of above statement is correct? Correct is A and D. Polymerase chain reaction is PCR, RFLP is possible. RAPD, PCR, AFLP, PCR, SSR, PCR. Next one. Microsatellite markers. Microsatellite are used more commonly than mini satellite as a DNA marker because mini satellite are present in too many locations within genome. It's not true. Restriction enzyme can be used to type microsatellite but not mini satellite. Not true. There are very few microsatellite. Not true. Microsatellite are present throughout the eukaryotic genome and are easily amplified using PCR. You know, this is one of the most important features of microsatellite or SSR marker. Microsatellite are present throughout the eukaryotic genome and are easily amplified using PCR. Next one. PCR based DNA amplification is essential feature of which of the following combination? RFLP, AFLP, SSR, AFLP, SSR and RAPD, RFLP, RAPD and SSR, RAPD, RFLP, SSR. We can see RFLP, restriction fragment length polymorphism, AFLP and SSR. Here we can use PCR. PCR, RFLP can be used. AFLP, PCR can used, SSR, PCR can used, RAPD, PCR can be used. RFLP, RAPD, SSR, RAPD, RFLP and SSR. So answer will be AFLP, SSR and RAPD. Here DNA amplification is essential. AFLP, SSR and RAPD. RFLP it is not necessary. So answer will be B. Next one. What is the correct sequence of events in southern blotting? Directly goes through separation of DNA fragments by electrophoresis, followed by transfer to the membrane and then hybridization with level probe. In southern blotting, what happened? DNA has to be isolated, cut it with restriction enzyme, okay, do the agrogel electrophoresis, transferred onto the membrane, apply denaturation means pre-hybridization treatment, apply probes and then do the autoradiography. So D is the right answer. Next one, RT-PCR. It's a real-time or reverse transcription. PCR is a method that used for forensic analysis of DNA. No, this is PCR. Amplification of genomic, PCR. Amplification of mRNA sequences. No, mRNA cannot directly amplify it. mRNA has to be converted into cDNA. Analysis of mRNA expression. This is true. RT-PCR, real-time PCR or reverse transcriptase PCR is used for analysis of mRNA expression. Next one. Okay, here we can see Teletop. A PCR reaction that continue for 30 cycle will produce approximately how much cycle? You know, cycle number of amplicons can be represented by 2 to the power n. N means number of cycle during the PCR. So power 30, this will be approximately 1 billions. 1 cycle 2 into 2, 2 cycle 2 into 2 into 2, 3 cycle 2 into 2 into 2, 2 like that means 4, 8, 16 and so on. And if we will do it for 30, then number will be approximately 1 billion. So D is right answer. Next one, RFLP analysis is that technique. RFLP uses hybridization to detect a specific DNA restriction fragment in the genomic DNA. A is right. Next, automated DNA sequencing is an improvement of Sanger's method. Here, what improvement has been done? Improvement is done fluorescent labeled DNTPs. Fluorescently labeled DNTPs are used for chain termination. This fluorescent labeled DNTPs are used for chain termination. This is right one. Next one, a microarray. This microarray can be used for comparing RNA produced under two physiological conditions to understand pattern of gene expression. Then next one, I don't have much time, so I have to finish. If a transcript of a given gene is degraded, then RNA age H, this can be active in the case of hybrid formation. If RNA, two different RNA molecules will be there, then it can be hybridized and RNA age H becomes active and it can cleave. So RNA age H is right answer. Next one, many plasmid have ampicillin marker. This implies the plasmid contains genes encoding B-lactamase. Because of presence of lactamase, it can detoxify lactam rings and this can be inactivated. Effect of plasmid can be inactivated. Next one, here all four, amplification product of PCR, here all four can be considered. Length of primer, TM, GC, and this all are true. PQRS, all are true. Next one, this one is last one. Very important, very interesting. It is based on TM. We can see on Teletop, TM, melting temperature. This can be calculated 2 AT plus 4 GC. So if we will see the sequence here, A, G, A, C, T, C, A, G, A, G, A, G, A, we can count the number of AT. So A is A, here we can count. This one is last. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is 80. So 2 into 8. And what about GC? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 is 4 into 9. So 16 plus 36. This will be 52. So answer is this one, 52. So annealing temperature. This annealing temperature can be calculated by this method. So now, dear students, dear aspirants, I have already covered some of the important questions which has been asked when NET test has been conducted. And if you will do the regular practice at your in the home, and if you will see some of the related question through net, through books, and do the regular practice, then you can score better. At least 10 to 15 questions every year are frequently asked from methods in molecular biology. All four methods, either molecular biology or histochemical or immunotechniques or biophysical method, X-ray diffraction analysis, or a statistical method. So these are very, very important, and I wish you all the best, all the success in your life. Thank you very much. Thank you.